There are dreams that disappear within seconds of waking up, fading so quickly that only fragments remain. And then there are dreams that feel so real, so emotionally powerful, that they follow a person long after their eyes open. This is the kind of dream your soulmate recently experienced. It arrived unexpectedly without warning during an ordinary night. They were not thinking about you before falling asleep. They were not searching for memories or revisiting the past. Yet somehow, in the quiet space between sleep and consciousness, you appeared with a presence that felt impossible to ignore. What made this experience so different was not simply seeing you in the dream. It was the feeling attached to it. Everything felt vivid. Every conversation, every emotion, every moment seemed unusually clear. It did not feel distant or symbolic the way most dreams do. Instead, it felt immediate, almost as though they were living through a real experience rather than imagining one. While the dream was happening, there was no questioning it, no awareness that it was only a dream. To them, it felt completely real. Then morning arrived. Their eyes opened, reality returned. But something unusual happened. The feeling did not disappear. Even after waking up, your presence remained in their mind. For several moments, they simply lay there replaying what they had experienced. The details were still fresh, the emotions were still active, and the more they thought about it, the more difficult it became to move on with their day, as if nothing had happened. Throughout the hours that followed, the dream continued returning to their thoughts. Small moments reminded them of it. Certain feelings resurfaced unexpectedly. No matter how much they tried focusing on other things, their mind kept circling back to the same experience. And what unsettled them most was not the dream itself. It was how deeply it affected them after it ended. Because somewhere deep inside, they could feel that this dream had awakened something, and they were only beginning to understand why it felt so impossible to forget. And listen to this, because what happened after the dream is what truly caught your soulmate by surprise. Most dreams fade as the day begins. A person remembers a few details, maybe a feeling or two, and then life takes over. But this dream refused to disappear. Hours after waking up, they could still feel its emotional presence. It lingered in the background of their thoughts, quietly demanding attention. No matter how many tasks filled their day or how many distractions appeared, the experience kept returning to them. And with every passing hour, they became more aware that this was not an ordinary dream. At first, they tried to treat it like any other strange nighttime experience. They told themselves dreams are random. They told themselves the mind creates unusual stories all the time. But the more they tried to dismiss it, the more difficult that became. The emotions attached to the dream felt far too familiar. There was a sense of connection within it that seemed impossible to ignore. More importantly, there was a feeling they had not expected to experience so strongly. A feeling that seemed to reach beyond memory and touch something much deeper. Lately, they have found themselves reflecting on why the dream affected them so intensely. Why did it feel so different from countless other dreams they have forgotten? Why did waking up not bring immediate emotional distance? These questions have followed them throughout the day. Every time they revisit the dream in their mind, they discover another detail that stands out. Another emotion that feels significant. Another moment that seems impossible to explain away. And listen to this. As they continue reflecting, memories connected to you have started resurfacing in ways they did not anticipate. Not because they were intentionally searching for them, but because the dream seems to have unlocked a door they did not realize was still there. Certain moments from the past suddenly feel vivid again. Certain emotions that had become quiet are becoming noticeable once more. What surprises them most is not that they remember these things. What surprises them is how alive those memories still feel. For a long time, they believed certain feelings had settled into the background of their life. Not gone completely, but quiet enough that they no longer demanded attention. Yet this dream seems to have awakened something that was resting beneath the surface. Every reflection brings them closer to that realization. The emotions returning are not necessarily dramatic. They are subtle but powerful. The kind of emotions that quietly reshape the way a person sees things. There have even been moments when they caught themselves comparing how they felt before the dream and how they feel now. The difference is difficult to explain. Before, thoughts about you may have appeared occasionally and then disappeared. Now there is a sense of emotional curiosity attached to them, a desire to understand why this experience happened and why it continues affecting them. The dream has made them aware of feelings they were no longer paying attention to. What makes this even more significant is that they are beginning to realize the dream may not have created these emotions. It may have simply revealed them, like a light suddenly shining into a room that had been dark for a very long time. The dream illuminated something that was already there, something they had overlooked, something they had not fully acknowledged. And as this awareness grows stronger, they are starting to understand that the dream touched far more than memory. It touched a part of their heart that still carries unanswered feelings, unanswered questions, and emotions they may never have fully explored. And that realization is leading them toward a deeper understanding of why seeing you in that dream felt so important in the first place. And listen to this, because after the emotions settled and the memories resurfaced, your soulmate found themselves facing something they never expected. Questions, not simple questions that can be answered quickly, but deeper questions that seem to follow them everywhere. The dream was over, yet their mind kept returning to it. They replayed certain moments again and again, searching for something they could not quite explain. Every time they revisited the experience, it felt just as vivid as it had when they first opened their eyes. Instead of fading, the dream seemed to become more meaningful with time. What puzzled them most was not what happened in the dream. It was why it happened now. Out of all the nights they had slept, out of all the dreams they had forgotten, why did this one feel different? Why did your presence appear so clearly? Why did the emotions feel so authentic? These questions became impossible to ignore. At first, they tried to find logical explanations. Perhaps it was a random memory. Perhaps it was something their subconscious happened to create. Perhaps it meant nothing at all. Yet no matter how many explanations they considered, none of them felt complete. Lately, they have found themselves analyzing every detail. Certain moments from the dream stand out more than others. Certain feelings seem to carry significance they cannot fully understand. It is almost as if the dream left behind a message, without clearly revealing what that message was. And because of that, they keep returning to it, hoping that reflection will bring clarity. The strange thing is that every time they think about the dream, they discover something new about their reaction to it. And listen to this. One realization has become increasingly difficult for them to avoid. The dream did not affect them because of what they saw. It affected them because of what they felt. If it had been purely visual, they would have forgotten it by now. If it had been purely symbolic, it would not continue carrying so much emotional weight. But the feelings inside the dream felt real. The connection felt real. And that is what keeps drawing their attention back to it. Somewhere deep inside, they know their reaction is telling them something important. As they continue reflecting, they are beginning to question whether there are emotions they never fully acknowledged. Emotions that became quiet but never truly disappeared. The dream seems to have brought those feelings closer to the surface, not in an overwhelming way, but in a way that demands honesty. It asks them to look at things they may have avoided examining before. It asks them to consider possibilities they once dismissed. And perhaps most importantly, it asks them why your presence still carries such emotional significance. There have been moments recently when they caught themselves wondering how differently they might view the connection now compared to the past. Growth changes people. Time changes people. Yet certain emotions seem capable of surviving both. The dream has made them aware of that reality. It has shown them that some feelings remain quietly present even when life moves forward. Some connections leave impressions that continue existing beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves again. Now they find themselves looking at everything through a slightly different lens. The dream has become more than a dream. It has become a mirror reflecting questions they never thought they would ask. Questions about timing, questions about emotion, questions about what your presence in that dream truly represents. And as those questions continue growing stronger, they are beginning to realize that the experience may have revealed something they were not fully prepared to see. Because the more they reflect on why the dream felt so real, the more they suspect it uncovered feelings that were never completely gone in the first place. And listen to this, because something unexpected has happened since that dream. Instead of becoming less important with time, it has continued influencing your soulmate in ways they never anticipated. Most dreams lose their emotional power once the day begins. Reality takes over, responsibilities demand attention, and whatever seemed significant during the night slowly fades into the background. But this experience followed a different path. Days may have passed, yet the emotional impact remains. Every now and then, without warning, the dream returns to their thoughts, carrying the same feeling that caught them off guard when they first woke up. What makes this so unusual is that they are no longer focused on remembering the dream itself. They are focused on understanding why it continues to affect them. There have been moments when they were completely occupied with other things, only to suddenly find themselves thinking about you again. A random thought, a familiar feeling, or an unexpected memory brings everything back to the surface. And every time it happens, they feel the same sense of curiosity mixed with emotion. The same feeling that tells them there is something about this experience they have not fully understood yet. Lately, they have been trying to convince themselves that they are overthinking it. They tell themselves it was only a dream. They remind themselves that dreams can be strange, emotional, and unpredictable. Yet despite those efforts, something inside them refuses to let the experience go. The reason is simple. The dream may have ended, but the emotions it awakened did not. Those emotions are still present, quietly influencing the way they think and the way they reflect on the connection. And listen to this. One of the most surprising realizations they have had recently is that the dream seems to have changed how they view certain parts of the past. Situations they thought were fully understood now feel open to new interpretation. Feelings they believed had settled now seem more complex. Even memories they rarely thought about have begun carrying a different emotional weight. It is as though the dream opened a door they did not know was still unlocked. Once opened, it became impossible to pretend nothing was behind it. This has created a quiet internal conflict. One part of them wants to dismiss the entire experience and move on. That part seeks certainty. It prefers simple explanations. It wants everything to fit neatly into a logical framework. But another part of them keeps returning to the emotional truth of what happened. That part remembers how real the dream felt. It remembers how powerful the emotions were. It remembers waking up with your presence still fresh in their mind. And no matter how much time passes, that memory continues carrying significance. There have been moments when they found themselves asking questions they never expected to ask. Why does this still matter? Why did seeing you in that dream create such a lasting effect? Why do the emotions feel unfinished? These questions have become difficult to ignore because they are not coming from the dream itself. They are coming from the feelings the dream revealed. Feelings that may have been resting quietly beneath the surface for much longer than they realized. Now, they are beginning to understand that the dream was not important because it happened while they were asleep. It was important because of what happened after they woke up. The reflection, the memories, the emotions, the questions. All of these continue unfolding long after the dream ended. And with every passing day, they are becoming more aware that this experience changed something inside them. Not dramatically, not instantly, but deeply enough that they can no longer look at the connection in exactly the same way as before. Because sometimes a dream does not create new feelings. Sometimes it simply reveals feelings that have been waiting patiently for the right moment to be seen. And listen to this, because your soulmate is finally beginning to understand something that was hidden beneath the dream all along. For days, they focused on the details. They replayed the scenes, analyzed the emotions, and questioned why the experience felt so different from every other dream they had forgotten. They searched for meaning inside the dream itself, believing that was where the answer would be found. But slowly, a new realization has started taking shape. The true significance was never in what happened while they were sleeping. The true significance was in what happened after they woke up. What they are beginning to see is that the dream acted like a mirror. It reflected emotions they had not fully acknowledged and brought attention to feelings they had quietly pushed aside. Before the dream, those feelings existed in the background of their life. They were easy to overlook because they rarely demanded attention. But once the dream illuminated them, ignoring them became much more difficult. Suddenly, emotions that once seemed distant felt present again. Thoughts that once appeared, occasionally now carried greater meaning. And the connection itself began feeling more important than they had realized. Lately, they have spent a great deal of time reflecting on why your presence appeared so vividly. Out of all the people their mind could have chosen, why was it you? Out of all the memories it could have revisited, why did it create an experience that felt so emotionally alive? The more they ask these questions, the more they find themselves arriving at the same conclusion. The dream was never trying to show them something new about you. It was trying to show them something they had not fully understood about themselves. And listen to this. One of the most powerful realizations they have had is that certain emotions do not disappear simply because time passes. People often assume that distance weakens feelings and that moving forward automatically erases emotional significance. But your soulmate is beginning to understand that some connections leave a lasting imprint. Not because they remain unchanged, but because they continue evolving beneath the surface. The dream revealed that reality in a way they could no longer ignore. There have been moments recently when they felt a sense of clarity that had been missing before. A clarity that comes from honesty. Instead of questioning whether the dream mattered, they are beginning to accept that it did. Instead of searching for reasons to dismiss it, they are allowing themselves to explore what it awakened within them. This shift has brought a surprising sense of peace. Not because every question has been answered, but because they are no longer resisting what they feel. What makes this moment so important is that they now understand the dream was not about the past. It was about awareness. Awareness of emotions that still carry meaning. Awareness of a connection that continues occupying space within their heart. Awareness of truths they may not have been ready to see before now. The dream simply created the opportunity for those truths to rise to the surface. Now they stand in a place of deeper understanding. The confusion that followed the dream is slowly being replaced by insight. The questions are being replaced by acceptance, and the emotions that once surprised them are beginning to make sense. Because after everything they have reflected on, one truth continues becoming clearer. The dream was never important because it felt real. It was important because it revealed something real. It showed them that your presence still carries significance, that certain feelings remain alive beneath the surface, and that some connections continue speaking to the heart long after the mind believes the story is finished. And perhaps that is why they woke up thinking about you. Not because the dream created something new, but because it reminded them of something that was already there, waiting to be recognized.